Spiritual freedom, one ATM withdrawal away. The only cult I know where you got to go to the bank before you go inside.
Haven't you gone away yet?
Never will.
Oh, you're working on giving the Brian treatment, huh?
Oh, you mean having false accusations made against me by your vile cult?
We'll get you too.
Oh, listen to that, ladies and gentlemen. That's just gold. The freak on camera, looking like a freak.
This is Radio Paul reporting to you the victory of AnonSparrow over the DC Scientology org. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, despite what you might think, it's a victory. How can I say it's a victory? What makes it a victory? He gave a cult 2.5 years of hell, dragged out a legal case for yet another year, tying up their resources, much like Mark Headley and other people, no doubtly contributed to the Debbie Cook debacle. Scientology is just out of control. Their resources and legal minds are all over the place, and they're making horrible decisions. He got them to lie on the witness stand. He got on record how they operate as an organization, often countering David Miscavige's sworn testimony, proving that DM is a liar. He proved to them and to the world that they are unethical. He and the DC Anons turned that place into a ghost town. By the way, that hasn't changed. He inspired others to take a stand, and in the end, all the cult got was a non-court ordered agreement that he would stay away from DC and Clearwater Scientology locations, proving that this is about Scientology and not about Kim Bellotti. In regards to my deposition, because people have asked, there really isn't much to tell. Ken Moxon made an ass out of himself there, as he normally does. And essentially, the bottom line is that they run around making threats against people. And I really took the fifth to most of the questions. He tried to bring up the fact that I had mocked him about his daughter being electrocuted, because that, after all, has something to do with Kim Bellotti and Brian Mandigo. It has nothing to do with it. He brought up the fact that I had gotten kicked off of Why We Protest and showed me the picture of L. Ron Hubbard baby Jr. crawling out of the guy's ass. I don't know whether that was supposed to upset me or he was trying to get me to lie about it. You don't lie in depositions, so just don't do that. There were a couple games he liked to play. Like Brian was sitting right across from me, and he would go, "When's the last time you saw Brian Mandigo?" I would say, "He's sitting across from me right now." "When's the last time you saw Brian Mandigo?" He's sitting across from me right now. So the little games. Not, clearly trying to waste people's time. Let's remember the fun times. Where Kim walked out and tried to bait Brian and me into talking to her. She comes out the front of the org. Vicky's standing there filming. Kim looks at us, goes right by us, and goes right back in the other door. No reason to go out of her way except to try to bait a situation. Or the time where she sent people out to get in Brian's face and she's sitting back there chuckling. Because, this is a person who's living in fear, right? Yeah, bull. Or the fact that she lied to the police. Or she lied to the court. She swears that in the transcripts from the criminal trial that she never told the police that he said he could do whatever he wanted to her. She never said that. The officer had it quoted multiple times in quotation marks. And anyone who understands why police make decisions, a police officer is going to take action when someone tells them a specific threat has been made. Had she not lied to the police, because Brian, I was there, and he never said that. Had she never said that, this case the criminal case wouldn't have even happened. So she lied to the police about what he said, and then lied in court about what she said she told the police. Yay! Ethical person who clearly can't remember anything the right way. I guess the police are liars. And what about the smirks on everyone's face, right? Okay, that's cute. You know, everybody's there smirking, you know, and they're giving Brian hot dogs, and her own husband's being nice to Brian and talking to him. You know, I don't know about you, but if somebody was stalking and harassing my wife, I wouldn't be sitting there talking to them. And if somebody was harassing and stalking my boss, I wouldn't be giving them hot dogs, and I wouldn't be inviting them to have private sit-down meetings to talk about why they're angry with Scientology. I'd be like, dude, what's your effing problem? But we know that these people are liars, and they've been caught lying, which is why they got such a crappy settlement out of this, because they knew that this case wasn't going to go anywhere. I don't really have anything new to give you, except that I've seen his video up online, and I felt it was time to say something about, my thoughts on the subject now that the case is resolved. One thing we also learned from the case is the DC org has working cameras. Now, DC, the next time you lie and say that an Anon did something or a protester did something, the first thing we're going to say is, well, go in there and ask them to get it off their video, because apparently they have video cameras. And naturally, if we did this, it would be on camera, right? So, no more lying. Yes, Scientology lost. They lost. And Brian won. The best that they can say is that they had a good day in keeping him away from the building. And he put them through 2.5 years of hell. 2.5 years of hell. Dragged out the legal case. And I can't help but think that the Mark Headleys and all the other cases out there helped contribute to Scientology effing up over Debbie Cook. And we're now seeing the fruits of this. Today, the day that this video is made, ABC Morning News, Nightline, are all covering how she was tortured, kidnapped, and tortured. And I would like to think that Brian and others being tied up in legal cases stretched them thin, stretched out David Miscavige's sanity to where he made irrational, stupid decisions that are now coming back to bite him in the ass. And then I think about the fact that Clyde Andrews told me he was going to get me, or they were going to get me too. Because, after all, they get all protesters, right? Well, when he threatened me like that, I made a decision. I said, well, if they get me, I don't know what that's supposed to be, so I better do some research on this guy so I can turn it over to the police. And I Googled his name in Scientology, and it came up that he had some able business. And I looked at the address on that, and I Googled the address, and I saw that it was a house and that it had been repossessed by the bank. Kim Bellotti, her husband, Vicky Teresi, Sylvia Standard, and the rest of them are selling a lie that no one else is buying. And they're losing their homes. They have no money. And the reality of it is, Brian has to stay away from a building. These people are losing everything. They've lost their integrity. They've lost any real sense of ethics. They're losing their homes, their livelihood, and their own cult. So I don't want to hear that because Brian had to take a settlement that this is a loss. It's a victory. And that's a victory you can't take from him or any of us. Those are victories that are lasting. Those are victories that are of a binding truth. And you can't touch him. And he has kicked that cult's ass back to the Stone Age. I've seen Brian actually change people's minds. I've actually seen him make a difference. I've seen people walk out of that org never to come back. And I've seen people thank him for the information he's given them. And it's made their life different and better. And that's a victory that you can't take. And they've lost. They've lost everything. And it's in large part to a little bird that delivered a message of truth that Scientology kills.
We have enough hamburgers and hot dogs to feed a virtual army, but there's no one here. I'll text message you if someone comes. You can reg them for a Div 6 course.